Hello guys, I'm Viren. This is
Manpreet.
we are pursuing bachelor's in artificial intelligence at IIT, and today we are trying to make a video on one of the topic of economics, and it's GDP.
So technically, what is GDP? What are the effects of GDP on the country, and what causes like going GDP higher or lower? So I'm gonna ask you, Viren, what is GDP?
GDP is like a gross domestic product.
But okay, so gross domestic product, okay. But how could you define gross domestic product? Like, can you go a little bit further than gross domestic product?
That's a nice question though, but I don't know how to answer that.
Okay, so just to make sure everyone is on the same page, let's see what GDP is first of all. Let's do this thing. Look around yourself. So everyone who's watching this video, we can do everything together. So if you're sitting somewhere, if you're standing, whatever you're doing, you can literally like look around yourself and let's see what happens. So I'm sorry, but right now we don't have anything, just a green screen, but the the video we are making through is a camera, a video camera we're making through the video. That is a finished good. So anything that we have so any finished good is considered within a GPA. So let's do this thing. If you are sitting somewhere, as I said before, if you look around, anything that is a finished good, which will be included in the GPA. If you add all the finished goods that you see, and if you add all the services that is provided within a country, it can include anything, which can be doctor, emergency room, nurse, any government facility, anything, any services, any finished goods. If you sum all those together, it will give you the gross domestic product. So yeah, pretty much it. That's all the GDP is. Okay, but if you don't get this part, if you don't know, if you don't really get this part, there's another method which friend will tell you to calculate the GDP or what is GDP.
Okay, that's a great example though for like how to calculate GDP and
Right.
how you can take a look at it.
Right.
But the another example I would say is like, let's say if you want to calculate GDP of whole United States, so you can just sum up all the incomes of the United States,
Right.
and that would give you the GDP of the whole United States.
Right. That's a great method to find the GDP. But there are so many things that GDP skips within the country. So let's get another example that really helps to understand the GDP really good. So let's suppose Rain, I know you have a brother, you have a younger brother,
Yeah.
right? So let's suppose if you're taking care, let's suppose your mom has to go to a grocery shopping or something, right? And your mom tells you to take care of your younger brother, and she says she will pay you $10 for per hour, right? So that money will be included in the GDP. But let's suppose you're going outside and your mom has to take care of your younger brother. She's not getting paid for it.
Yeah.
So GDP does not include that. It skips that part.
So if you have a higher GDP, it means like it's good for the country.
Basically, yeah, but not really. It's just like, so if you take this thing, so as you just asked that question, that's a good question though. Let's take an example. Let's suppose we have a X country, right? Just have 5 people in it. So every single person makes $1 except the 5th person. So we are 5 people, 4 of them make $1.
Yeah.
They have $1. So 1, 1, 1, 1, which is 4, right? The 5th person make $10, so we have total $14.
Yeah.
Right? If you calculate the GDP of that X country with that 5 people in it, it will be $14 something, right?
Yeah.
$14. But so technically the GDP is higher. It's $14 compared to other countries which is just like 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
But in that country there are 5 people, 4 of them are just getting $4. The rest have the $10. So the level of equality is like this. So one is just like at 10, the other are just 1 more. So basically, yeah, if the GDP is higher, the country is growing, but you don't know within the country what people are getting more money and what people are getting more money. So as we asked the question out, as we talked about GDP and all that stuff,
Yeah, so that means like you are saying GDP is not same for everyone. Like it depends on individual as well, right?
Exactly.
Like,
It does. If you calculate, so technically, if you're calculating the GDP of a country, everyone comes in the country, right? Doesn't matter if you make $10, if the person make $1 million, it does include in the GDP. But if the GDP is higher, the country is it is growing.
Yeah.
But you don't know within the country what people are getting more money what other stuff.
Okay, so you're saying some individuals can be at lower
Right.
standard and
exactly.
some people can be at higher standard.
Right. If you take an example of like if you take the billionaire example, which is like Amazon CEO, you have Bill Gates, they all are making good amount of money.
Yeah.
But if you take our example, we are on the minimum wage, we're like $10, $20 per hour. If you add their net income to the GDP, if you add our net income to the GDP, it is like the GDP of the country is higher. But if you compare ours and his GDP like income, which is like way different.
Oh, okay.
Make sense?
Makes sense.
So,
That's kind of a good example though.
Alright, so if you, as we discussed about the GDP, what do you think, what are the factors that affects the GDP?
I would say like there are four main factors
Cool.
that affects like GDP.
Uh-huh.
First one I would say is non-marketed activities.
Uh-huh.
Like, let's say if you have a housekeeping services,
Right.
like you are paying for that, but it's not counting in the GDP. You know what I mean?
Makes sense.
Other one I would say is like underground activity.
Right.
Like a lot of people who are working as a plumber, maybe as a contractor or something, like they get paid on a regular basis,
Right.
but some people are getting paid in cash,
Right.
so that doesn't count in GDP.
As long as they don't tell their income,
Yeah.
that you're getting income, they're getting.
So it's kind of like they are not declaring their income to the
Right.
government, so
Right.
it doesn't count towards GDP.
Cool.
So that could affect GDP as well. Like could be more or less,
Right.
depends. The other factor is quality of lives. Like let's say you are buying a home in a nice city or a nice town,
Right.
that affects the GDP too. Like if you are buying like in a rural like place, like if you're buying a house in a village,
Right.
that doesn't affect GDP that much.
Right.
So it depends like on your quality of lives.
Right.
The last one I would say is poverty. Poverty, I would say like the major country like India, that it is facing like a lot of poverty issues. So that could affect the GDP as well. Like a lot of people are not making that much money, so the country's GDP would be much more less than like if you want to compare to the United States.
Right. That makes sense. So to basically just summing it up, like GDP and all, why do we really have to care about GDP? Like, what are the importance of GDP? Like, why does everyone has to study about GDP?
I would say like GDP measures like the total quality of goods and services produced and sold in economy. Like so that's kind of like in market things. Like it's not illegal products. All of them are legal. Like the goods are coming in country, goods are going out of the country. All are calculating in one single GDP of the whole country. But it conveys no information though, like about who enjoys those goods and services. Like two countries may have identical GDPs, but their way of counting GDPs or like their way of summing up GDPs could be different.